Sure. Well, I'm sorry, Sam, but this is one date I can't break. Would you have 5 minutes right now? Fine, I'll be right over. Edith, can you dig up Sam's file? I handed out a couple of nights ago. Maybe it's in my basket.
Sam and George Cave, Partnership for Life and Disability. Put your hat down on your forehead. You know where you're going.
Ah, it's hot. I'll pull it down when I get there. Did Ralph deliver the presents?
Uh-huh. They're nice. But there ought to be 3.
That's right. They always were the 3 cheers. Phone Ralph Miller to have another one ready when I go by. Engraved.
Edith, sign me out. I'll be back in half an hour.
And I'll be back about 5.
Flowers?
For Mrs. Bryce and Mrs. Young.
Uh-uh.
Hello, John. Got my corsages?
Hiya, Charlie. We're just finishing up. You know how it is at graduation time. We're loaded. Why don't you go over and get yourself decorated while you wait?
Good idea. Hello, Chick. How's your dad today?
Well, you know.
Smells almost as nice as you look. Tell him I'll drop by the house Sunday, huh?
Here you are, Charlie. You know, come to think about it, isn't it kind of thanks to you that Marion Bryce is graduating today? Mrs. Bryce ought to be giving you a corsage.
It'll look much better on her. Thanks, John. Goodbye, Chick.
Roy Martin Benson. Congratulations, Leroy. Marion Louise Bryce. Congratulations, Marion.
Yes, congratulations, Marion. You've done well. You'll do well in college. You're a lucky girl. I wonder if you know just how lucky. That this proud moment is the outcome of a different kind of moment. A moment when your father could have said, well, I don't know. But he said something else. It was as close as that. Funny how fast 4 years go by. Your father was starting to build the house you live in now. Costs had piled up a little worse than he expected, and he was carrying the job along by borrowing on his life insurance. He was glad to get the check, of course, and he told me that he ought to be all right now if nothing happened. Well, you know me with business. Those words, if nothing happens, are like a red flag. So I said maybe I ought to cover that possibility with a health and accident policy. He said the light company had a group plan, and I felt better. That is, I felt better right then. But your father kept popping back into my mind and the gamble he was taking. So one Saturday, I told my golf gang to get somebody to fill in for me, and I drove out to Pershing Manor to get it off my chest. Here you are, Helen.
Thanks, Charlie.
Here, have a Coke, Harry.
Well, thanks, Charlie. I appreciate you driving all the way out here, Charlie, but doggone it, we're just up to our necks in this place. I honestly haven't got a spare dollar for more insurance.
You've got the place insured against fire, haven't you?
Oh, good Lord, yes.
Got it insured against your income stopping?
Huh?
Harry, you're 36 years old. In the rest of your life, if you keep healthy, you'll probably earn, almost $200,000. That's about 15 times the value of the house. Harry, your health is your wealth.
Didn't Harry tell you, Charlie? The light company has a plan that covers him.
That's why I'm out here on a Saturday. It's a good plan as far as it goes. It goes about 26 weeks. What I'm worried about is what happens if you get really sick. Sick or hurt so bad that it runs into a year or 2 years or maybe more.
Never have yet, Charlie.
Uh-huh. But nobody's vaccinated against it. These people weren't. They were just as surprised as you and I would be to find they were laid up for months and years. And these are only one page full. My company sends a regular check every month to nearly 7,000 people who are totally and permanently disabled. And those checks will come in every month for life.
Well, lucky they could afford it. That kind of insurance is out of my class.
Don't squeal before you're hurt. You don't even know what it costs. And maybe you're in for a surprise. We write the family security plan. I guess we're about the only company that does it. It's sort of tailor-made. We put in only the items that you really need. Harry, disability always stacks a lot of extra expenses on top of your regular household obligations, particularly in those first few weeks. And remember this. It's tough enough to be tied to a bed even if you're rich. But it's a lot tougher if you have to lie there month after month thinking about how the expenses are eating up everything you own. Worry is about the worst medicine there is. And peace of mind is one of the best. What I want you to think about is a plan that will pay you income benefits up to $300 a month. Money to live on while you're unable to work because of an accident. Or you're laid up at home or in a hospital with a sickness. Even for life. Besides that, we can pay you additional benefits of $15 a day for your hospital room and board, plus allowances for hospital fees, surgery, and so on. Harry, look around you. What would happen to this house and young Marion's education and everything else you value in life if you had to meet those expenses without any money coming in? And it can happen, Harry. Every year, my company sends checks to over 500,000 people who get sick or hurt. We pay out more than $1 million every week.
Well, Harry's really very healthy for a man who works indoors, Charlie. He's hardly sick a day.
It's a fact, Charlie. I don't think I've drawn more than 2 weeks' benefits all the time I've been with the light company.
That's why I drove all the way out here now. You can't get this protection when you're laid up. You can only apply for it when you're in good health. Say, by the way, where's your bedroom going to be?
Here, through this doorway.
Look, Harry, suppose you were lying in bed in there. The door was open just a crack after the doctor left. And through the crack, you heard him telling Helen that you wouldn't ever work again. I want you folks to have protection and peace of mind against disaster. You know, it's funny how something so valuable should be so easy to get. All you have to do is twist my arm.
What do you think, Helen?
Well,
Say, how's the saw cut doing? No chance of tetanus, is there? Have another Coke. Nothing like it for lockjaw. Say, the blanket really keeps him cold. Well, Marion, it's no news to you that he finished the house. And like your mother said, he stayed very healthy for an indoor man. And then one night, one of the tubes in the kitchen light went dim. Nothing particularly big about that. Nothing really dangerous, you'd think.
there, yeah, dear. I think I better go right on home because Mary...
Those 26 weeks of his group plan went by like so many hours. Another 26 weeks, another. And within a couple of weeks of a fourth stretch, with the money still pouring out in a steady stream. But some other money was coming in. So the house was still there, and it was still theirs. You were still in school, and your father could still give you a carefree grin and an unworried hug when you came in his room. And all because of that so fleeting moment when he could have said, well, but he didn't. And so somebody else is able to say,
I think they're going to be proud of you in college.
Gosh, and still they come. I guess every girl in town's gonna be at that graduation dance tonight.
Joan Melinda Young.
she looks pretty as a picture. Congratulations, Joan. You're another lucky girl. But then you always have been. I guess you get it from your father. Howard was a great one for long chances, but he usually was lucky. Take that outdoor furniture ID he started when he got back from the war. Sunk every dime of his terminal pay in it. And it looked for the first year like he was ahead of his time for our town. But he soon had it humming along. And it was well established even 4 years ago when you started high school. Like I say, he was lucky. Of course, it helped to be a good salesman and be willing to work like three men that needed a meal. He'd always had one little fault. But I guess you knew about that.
I'll call you when it gets here.
Bye.
Well, that'll take care of the installment on the freezer.
You're quite a salesman, Howard.
Oh, anybody can look like a good salesman if he has a strong product. Sit down and relax, Charlie. Hey, that was a nice talk you gave at the men's club Sunday.
Well, thanks, Howard.
Yeah, but I know you want to talk about insurance today. Well,
now that you mention it, I did kind of have it way in the back of my mind.
mm-hmm.
Let's see, you converted your GI insurance to $5,000, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been wondering if it's enough now that...
Charlie, you're wasting your time. I'm in the hock up to my eyes. Every month it's the same old scramble. Payments on the house, payments on the car, installments on the new furniture, the freezer, the range, and that fancy new clothes dryer that Laurie had to have.
Howard, all those gadgets, do they keep increasing in value the longer you own them?
Of course not, you dope. They're depreciating.
Mm-hmm. And if you should die suddenly, wouldn't all those unpaid gadgets turn into liabilities right around Laurie's neck? Howard, there's just one more thing you ought to buy on the installment plan. Joni's starting high school next week. You ought to make the down payment that'll protect her education.
How?
By assuring Laurie and Joan an income every month, until Joan at least finishes high school.
Oh, Laurie could probably keep the business running well enough anyway.
Yeah, by working the same kind of hours you do, or worse. Howard, the most valuable thing a man can leave his children is their mother's time. How much money have you got in the bank?
Well, that's a nervy question.
You wouldn't mind my asking it if you had a good answer, and I'm asking it. How much have you got saved to pay off all those debts and assure an income for Laurie and Joan?
You know me, Charlie. Easy come, easy go. Heck, it would take me years to save enough of a chunk to make it worthwhile.
You can create a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 estate in 5 minutes, Howard.
Yeah?
And it'll be ready when it's most needed. As income for Laurie and Joan if you should die suddenly.
And if I have bad luck and keep on living?
Then the deposits will be waiting to provide an income for you and Laurie when you retire.
I thought you were selling life insurance. Now you sound like a savings bank.
Life insurance, savings, a lot the same thing, but with one great big difference. Ordinary savings, you put away a few dollars at a time, and if you live long enough, you hope to finally save a fair chunk. We reverse the process. We create the chunk first. We set up your whole estate for one down payment and let you buy it on the installment plan. You know my company, Howard. One of the strongest. Here, I'll let the figures tell you how we'll provide security. Whether you die too soon or live too long. Now, let's take this.
You sign right there.
Well, Charlie, you're quite a salesman.
Anybody can look like a salesman if he has a strong product. You know, it's funny. One drop of ink, a doctor's okay, and all of a sudden, Joni's a rich man's daughter.
Yeah, if I walk in front of a truck or something.
Yeah, and if you live to be an old man, she won't have to support you.
That'll be a long time away. Well, Charlie, I ought to congratulate you. You know, it isn't every day that you get a chance to sign up a guy that's both healthy and lucky.
You'll be glad someday. You want to bet?
Charlie, give me a hand.
Put out those cigarettes, you fools! Put out those cigarettes!
You remembering the same thing I am, Charlie?
Well, you lived through it. You thinking maybe you wasted your premiums, Howard?
You know the last thing I thought of before the smoke got me? I thought, maybe my luck's run out. Then I thought, maybe I'm still lucky because no matter what happens to me in the next 2 minutes, Joni and her mother will be taken care of. Wouldn't be like Paul Rush.
Well, Howard, Laurie, you certainly have a right to be proud of Joni today.
I wonder what happened to Marion. I told her to be here in a few minutes.
Oh,
she'll be along.
big day for them. They'll be up. Here they come now.
Congratulations
I
to
look
you,
so
too.
grown up, I thought I was going to
crowd.
cry. I thought I was. They were just in the car. Oh, here they are. Oh, darling. Oh, you look so wonderful. I'm so much better. All grown up. Oh, lovely. Hello, Mr. Ellen. Mother says I can wear her corsage tonight. Do you mind?
Why, I certainly don't. And I've got something else for you.
Oh,
And for Joan.
oh, Charlie. Thank you. I think beautiful. Oh, gosh. Oh, Charlie. Thank you so much.
Hey, I'm certainly getting my money's worth in a hurry here.
Say, folks, let's get a picture. Charlie, I'd like to get one of you with one of the girls on each side of you. How about it, huh? Joni, honey, turn around now. Come on. Marion, squeeze in a little bit and show off your new watches. We'll call the picture 3 Cheers for Charlie.
Oh, Daddy, why did you have to say that?
Is this what you're thinking about?
To Carol, with love. Oh, that's wonderful. What are we waiting for? Come on, Mr. Allen, let's give it to her now.
What about the picture?
Come on with us. Carol ought to be in the picture anyway.
Carol ought to be in the picture anyway. She always was in the picture, right in the middle of it. Always the prettiest and the smartest and the one you knew you could count on. Paul Rush was proud of her as all get out, and proud of the nice friends she brought to the house. Paul was a painter and a darn good one. He'd made up his mind when he was 6 years old. That's what he wanted to be, and that's what he was. He traveled around a lot, wherever the work was. But no matter where he happened to be, he'd draw his time and light out for home whenever there was a job within kissing distance of Mrs. Rush and little Carol and the boys. The way I met him, I thought I was answering his inquiry about a health and accident policy. But it was his wife that sent in the coupon. It seemed the magazine also had an article about the increase in disabilities from heart disease and cancer in men around Paul's age. To Paul, those were far-off things that happened to other people, not to him. But he was willing to talk, and after a while, I think he realized that his home and wife and kids, the rent and the clothes and food for the table, all were at the mercy of that good health he was so proud of. If his body stopped working, everything stopped. Finally, he wanted to know how much protection he could get and what it would cost him. Lifetime income, hospitalization, doctor's bills, the works. Well, as fate would have it, about 2 minutes before we'd have finished up, his boss drove in with a week's time cards and invoices to check. Paul folded up the application, said he'd mail it in. But as it turned out, well, you know how it is. I tried to see him several times after that, but he was always working out of town or at lodge or a union meeting or something. 2 years went by. The 3 Cheers were juniors in high school now. In fact, that's where they got their name, from their fancy cheerleading. They were really darn good. Paul had been down south somewhere for a couple of months on a job, and then one day he came home. Fate plays strange tricks. Paul had always known that strong body of his might be crippled in an accident. He'd never expected to be crippled by sickness. He'd heard of arthritis, of course, but he thought it meant old people with stiff joints. I had no trouble calling on him anymore. He was always in now. That fall, they moved. I kept dropping around the house whenever I could because I liked him and that nice little family. But there was nothing much I could do. I'd missed my chance when I got careless and let Paul put off until tomorrow when he should have done that day. I felt as helpless as he was. One thing about Paul, he had courage. The night they first took him away, he'd said, "I'll beat this. I'll be home. Everything will be the same again." Now he'd come home, but it wasn't the same. And it never would be, as long as he lived. But typical of Paul, the first thing he thought wasn't about himself. He said, "Where can Carol do her homework and see her friends?" Well, Mrs. Rush finally had to tell him. Carol didn't have to do homework anymore, and she had no time for friends. Because there finally had been something I could do. I'd gone down to City Hall and gotten Carol a work permit.
Party with presents even. Hey, Mr. Allen.
Oh.
For me? But...
Well, if it isn't for you, Miller's Engravers made a terrible mistake.
See? It's just like ours. Well, looks like my wrist graduated. Even if my head didn't.
Hey, let's get that picture, huh?
So this is where you've been hiding out all year.
Come on now, folks, get lined up for the picture, please.
Hey, Carol, why don't you come with us to the graduation ball? Deuce girl got the measles and he's stag.
I've got 20 corsages to make between now and 8 o'clock, or else 20 girls like you are going to be awful mad at 20 boys like you.
Folks, please!
Your boss can get somebody for tonight.
That's what I'm afraid of. Besides, I can use the overtime.
Well, but please, come on, Death and Zachariah, get lined up.
Okay, kids, Pop's had it.
All right, now hold it. That's good.
Gosh, I've left us double parked. Come on, kid. Are you sure you won't come along?
You go along. I'll catch up with you. Sometime.
Come on, Joe.
Bye, Carol.
Thanks again, Mr. Allen. You've always been so wonderful to me.
I know, Carol. I know.
Hey, Charlie, what's keeping you?
You're a wonderful girl, Carol. And everybody's so proud of you. And you will catch up with them sometime. Good night.
Hey, came out fine. Got a pencil, Charlie? It's pretty good of you. It's great of the 3 cheers. Sure good to see them back together again. Well, that'll be your receipt for the watches.
Three cheers for Charlie. That's 1 cheer too many.
How's that? Oh, I see what you mean. But that's not all I'm seeing. I'm seeing my Joni in there. Tired, scared, and lonely. And carrying too much on her young shoulders.
But it isn't Joan. And it never will be now.
No.
No matter what happens.
That's right. And Joni will be all right. I just want you to know that, well, I'm grateful. Good night, Charlie.
They say you can't win them all. But I'm sorry it had to be you. And maybe you will catch up with them sometime. Lord knows you've got the spirit and the strength and the courage. And in the meantime, your father has that lifetime income protection I promised him. Only I'm not giving it to him. You are. And it's costing too much. Too much. I'm sorry, Carol. But next time, I'll try a little harder. And maybe some other Carol will have a better chance. Good night, youngster.